Hey everybody, Keith here. Hey, I want to talk to you guys today about languages. Um, Everybody seems to have all this confusion about all the paperwork they get through the courts and everything, and all the legalese, mumbo jumbo, and uh, having to research things like the Chicago Manual Style, Oxford English Manual Style, and all these different books to try to figure out what's being said. Um, I think we need to go a lot farther than just that, even. I think we need to start learning the inherent languages that we all possess within us in regards to various different things such as body language, sign language, and all that. There are so many different more languages than just the written and spoken languages. And one of those they use heavily against us in the coercion tactics, where they run around these streets claiming that they're in fear of their lives because they're dealing with all these hardened criminals. And so they have to have canines and nightsticks and mace and tasers and bulletproof vests and guns and things like that. Motherfuckers, I walk the same streets, been walking the same streets all my life, and the only weapon I've ever used is right here. And basically, when I talk about languages, the biggest thing that has an effect on me in my life is that body language. That's why when I look at people and I have a conversation with them and I want to have a good impression on them, I want to see that smile. I want to see it in their eyes. Because this isn't the only thing that smiles. A person's whole body can smile. And all you got to do is be able to read it. When we go to these courts, when we deal with these lawyers, when we deal with these cops at the roadside and stuff, we have to be able to act as kings and queens. We have to be able to show that in our body language. My biggest problem has been my anger all my life. I get pulled over and I start getting pissed and I start getting all these odd fucking looks. And I'm slowly but surely getting over that. I'm slowly and truly becoming more and more diplomatic. And that's another thing I want to point out, even in our own language when I talk about the written and spoken words. In the spoken word, there are many languages. And you can tell that by the way another person speaks. My language has changed quite a bit over the years. Like I said, it's no longer the belligerent language. At times that still pops out, but it's becoming more of a social and intelligible language that I hope will get my message conveyed much smoother and with much more passion, despite the non-passion in it. Hopefully you can see the passion in my face and my body language. And so when we go into these courts, we have to understand that there's just more than the one language, and we have to be able to listen to all of them. And so when we go into these courts and they say, all rise, in the future, when I present myself, I'll not have a seat. I've learned that denotes the dead, and then they ask you to rise, and they're summoning you to rise. So from now on, I will stand, and I will show that I have standing as a king. So when I walk into any courtroom from here on out, I will remain standing. I will retain my standing. I will retain my right to stand and not do as they ask and have a seat, please. No thanks. I'm fine. And then, when they ask me to take my hat off, no thanks. When they ask me to approach the bench, no thanks. Because understand, people, that's what they're doing. They're asking you to do things and you're saying, okay, sure. If you go to Walmart and you buy something, you start walking out the door and they start accosting you, wanting to see your receipt, and you put up with it, that's your acquiescence. But me, I don't put up with that. I keep on walking. And they, sir, I need to see your receipt. Call cops. You're the one that wants to contract with the cops, you call them. I ain't. Just like I don't want to contract with you again. I just got done contracting with you and I've got a receipt and now you want to see my receipt. Sorry. You'll have to claim that I've broken a law and bring a claim against me. I don't have to do what you say. You're a Walmart employee. And that's all these administrative courts are. They're Walmart employees. And I'll explain something to you. Most of you know my story about the private property tags. I went out to a local hardware store and I bought private property tags that you see on any farmer's fence. And I put them on my truck. And I started traveling around. And I traveled around for quite a while. Matter of fact, I traveled around long enough that I got pulled over twice by the local city cops and given seatbelt and insurance tickets. And I got pulled over once by a state trooper and given a speeding ticket and no insurance ticket. All of them I signed with UCC 1-308 and then never appeared for any case, for any court appearance. I signed UCC 1-308 reserving my rights. And my rights say I have unlimited power to contract. Period. I have unlimited power to contract, and therefore UCC 1-308 is telling them I don't want to contract. Period. Because they want a contract to take my rights, and I'm reserving my rights. And I've learned here even lately that reserving isn't the best word to use either, so I've learned to use retain. And as well as that, the fact that I no longer am wishing to contract, I no longer wish to use their UCC 1-308, reserving my rights, because I am not that 14th Amendment citizen. I am a man, and therefore I retain my rights. All rights retained, no rights waived. And I'll write it all out. No problem. I have no problem with that. So we have to learn these languages. And so these court cases that I never appeared to, they're a couple years old. They're 2 and 3 years old. I've even got a city ordinance infraction for dog violations. I got one ticket for dog at large and dog causing harm. And I signed UCC 1-308. And then when the court date came and went, I did not appear. I went in the next day. I went to the clerk and I called up that case. And then when I went into court, at that time I sat down. I hadn't learned as much as I've learned now. And so when they said all rise, I remained seated. And of course, normally when the judge walks in, the administrator walks in, they normally go up to the bench and then say, you may all be seated. This one happened to stand there right in the doorway as she saw me seated still, said, you may all be seated, and then went to the bench. Then when she got to the bench, she looked over at me and said, sir, would you remove your hat, please? Now notice, this is a request. And I told you, and you understand, you have to understand, we have unlimited power to contract by 3 main concepts. We have the right to believe what we want to believe, we have the right to make our own choices, and we have the right to change our mind anytime for any reason. So when she requested that I take my hat off, please, I said, no, thank you, I do not wish to. Oh. Well, and then she started calling up cases. When she got around to me, she called that name, and I simply raised my hand like a 4th grader sitting in a seat, said, excuse me, ma'am. She said, well, would you approach the bench, please? I said, no, thanks, I don't want to. I'm not here to conduct business. What do you want? And then she started reading the case and then realized that it had already been what she called disposed the day prior to that proceeding. And so she clarified this. She said, well, I guess these have already been disposed of. And now, think about that word, disposed. Most people, when you dispose of something, you've gotten rid of it. That's the common belief of what the word dispose means. In a court, when they say it's been disposed, it means it's been put into a disposition. So, learn the etymology of the words. Disposed means you've gotten rid of, you've moved it. You've gotten rid of it from this place to somewhere else. It's still there. So when you dispose of your garbage, you've just gotten rid of it from your place and moved it somewhere else. That's all that is. So, hey Troy, good to see you too, buddy. Thanks for listening. So when we get to these courts and we ask about these things, we've got to ask the right questions. And we've got to listen to what they're telling us. So when she said disposed of, I immediately asked her, well, what would that disposition be? Oh, obviously surprised again that she knew, that somebody knew what she was talking about. And she said, well, you've been found guilty. And then she turned around and said, or actually she started in with the fines and stuff. And I said, well, how can you find somebody guilty if they weren't even present? And she said, well, you can file a motion for such and such with the clerk of courts across the street, and we'll just postpone this. I said, no thanks. I still don't wish to contract. And then walked out. Now, mind you, this was 3 years ago. And I've since been pulled over, arrested by the county sheriff, and tried, convicted, served the time, and been released. And none of those tickets have ever appeared. None of them. Not even for collection. That's your unlimited power of contract at work. You sign that UCC 1-308, that's telling them that you understand your unlimited power to contract. So when you acquiesce and then turn around, even after you've signed UCC 1-308 and appear in court, you've now accepted the contract that you just turned around and signed UCC 1-308, reserving your right not to. Hey, Danny, yes, you are here. I don't think he's referring to you as God, though. I hope not. Well, actually, yeah, I do. Because it says right in the Bible, ye are gods. So, yeah. So, anyway, remember to understand your unlimited power to contract and how all that works with today's society, secular society. As long as you remain with your beliefs, your choices, and your right to change your mind when and for what you want. That's your unlimited power to contract. Hey, Walmart, fuck you. Hey, U.S. government, fuck you. Hey, anybody I wish to say fuck you to, I will say fuck you to. I don't wish to do that anymore. I wish to be diplomatic. Those that wish to be diplomatic with me, I will listen to. Those that want to run their mouths, belittle me, belittle my brothers and sisters, try to enslave us through some kind of corporate control, language control, whatever. I no longer want anything to do with it. Yes, separation of church and state. Let me help you with that as well. Separation of church and person. Church is an entity. Separation of church and man. Spread the spirituality through all religions. How's that? How's that stew the pot? Fuck religion. I'd rather stand up for humanity's or mankind's spirituality in that we're all brothers, no matter what religion you hail from. Same with the thing with the borders. Fuck them borders. God gave man dominion over the earth, not a portion of. God gave man dominion over the fish of the sea, the fowl of the air, and all creatures that slither upon the land. Yes, child of God, under that authority, because we are supposed to be stewards upon this earth. And that's what I'm talking about. There's more than just one language. And there's more than just one language according to mankind. Because if you've seen any of my videos here recently, you know I'm a rescuer. It's great to be able to learn the language of the creatures around us. You want to expand your mind, expand your soul, expand your spirituality. Reach out to all spirituality, not just religion. You'd be amazed at how much spirituality you find in animals. They have a deeply ingrained faith in mankind, if mankind would show it. Hey, that's all I got for now. Thanks for everybody that listened. God bless. Love y'all. Remember to learn all languages. It'll be a whole spirit world of good. Have a good day.